Welcome to the Opinionated Geek podcast. I am your host, Jonathan Hanna, and it's been a while. It will also be a even longer time for the audio people because I didn't upload the last podcast. So, yeah. So they didn't get to see it. Actually, even on the YouTube people, I didn't actually upload that one either. Uh, Life just basically kicked my ass. And I just never got around to it, and at this point, it's just basically too late. I feel anyway. So I'm not even bothering with it. Uh, in fact, I'm still rather busy. Work is going to be picking me up some more hours and whatnot. So uh, I'm still going to be tight. We're starting next weekend. We're going to be starting the my Dungeons and Dragons campaign uh, back up. So, and we're going to have two new people, two new old people. They were originally from our group, but they moved to Texas and apparently hated it and moved right back a couple years later. So, yeah, there's that. So, a lot of stuff going on with the Dungeons and Dragons thing. I'll be able to start talking about that again, kinda, because I don't know who will be listening and who will not be listening, so can't be too vocal about it. But yeah, my I think I talked about it maybe in a past podcast, but my uh, car had a sensor failure, so I couldn't start up the car. I thought it might have been a battery. Well, it's all about deduction, finding out what the problem might be, and then narrowing it down type of thing. So I spent almost $150 I think for a battery just because I wanted the warranty if I was going to spend basically I think it was like 125 for a battery that only had a couple you know so I moved forward and just got the better one with the longer warranty uh because I hate cars, and if I can do it and pull it off, I'm going to get the better thing so I don't have to worry about it as much. But lo and behold, it wasn't the battery, it wasn't the starter, it was a sensor. I forgot what sensor he said it was, but basically that cost me, a $200 at the garage. So there was that. Then, uh, not long afterwards, and I, I basically haven't even recovered from that with like paying my credit cards down a little bit with that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? My tires started grinding a little bit and when I put on the brakes. So I wasn't because I'm not a car person, I'm not sure if there was multiple things that happened when your brakes start to wear out, but I definitely knew my brakes needed to be changed. But I wasn't sure if the noise I was hearing was a worse problem than what it needed to be. So the I thought it would like squeal at you originally when your tires wore or your brake pads wore down, and this one was a grinding sound. So I was like, maybe because I listen to music loud, I just never heard the squealing, and it's progressed to something worse. But overall, the brake pads were worn down definitely, but they weren't bad enough that I was like basically using the actual uh, very back pad of the brake pad. So there was still some brake there, and it was what I thought it was supposed to be a whistle sound or a screeching sound when you put on the brakes. It was the grinding sound. So I didn't, I wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. But uh, because I'm trying to do things a little cheaper, I went to my friend because I've changed brakes on a motorcycle, but I realized that it's it might be a little bit different. So I was like, "Could you show me how to do it?" So right away he's like, well, we jacked it up, and he's like, all right, now basically just take off the tire. And I'm like, okay. So I go to do the first uh nut, or first lug, I should say, on the wheel, and the stupid damn thing snaps off. And after that, it kind of just went to hell. So I tried multiple things, and in the end, three out of the four somehow had snapped off. I'm not sure why. I don't know, because they weren't even rusted. They I don't. It completely blows my mind how it happened, why it happened. I don't know, because I never mess with that type of stuff because I'm not a car guy. But back in kind of near probably around Octoberish, I had a flat tire and I went to change that tire and put the spare on it. Luckily, I was at a car dealership, but when I used my crappy jack that the cars come with, and I went to go pull, I undone all the lugs, and I went to pull it off, and it wasn't budging. I went and attempted to go and ask the people at the car dealership if they could help me get the tire off. They attempted to get the tire off. They couldn't do it. Basically, the only way they said anyway. I think it's a double way, a two-way street. I think if they really wanted to, they might have been able to get the tire off. But why not get some money into the car dealership just because? So they said until they get it up on the actual jack, they probably wouldn't be able to actually change it out. So I literally spent $20 just so they could put it up on the things, and they got the tire off that way. But obviously, whatever that guy did to the bolts, I'm assuming he literally just, instead of screwing them in by their hand and then using the uh, hydraulic drill, whatever you want to call it, he went ahead and just put the lug on the drill and did it that way, and basically probably stripped some of the bolts, and that's why they broke off, because as I was trying to do it, it was just fucked up, so it just broke off. So in theory, that was a little nerve wracking to me because I don't know cars, and I'm just like, I don't know how you do you do you replace the whole thing? Can you actually just replace the wheel studs, as they're called? Wheel, yeah, wheel lug. I don't know. I think it's a wheel stud. Uh, I didn't know anything about that. So, uh, the guy that was helping me out, he, I guess, kind of knew this kind of stuff, and he's like, yeah, yeah, we'll just basically take the dang it, I forget what it's called, but it's the thing that actually holds the wheel studs. Uh, you should be able to just take that off and then be able to actually have access to those studs and just replace them. It took forever to get my tire off again because it had rusted to the wheel itself again. So apparently, my car has a very easy issue of having my tire rust to the actual wheel. Uh, See, I don't know what you want to call it because the wheel is the wheel. Uh, Whatever. But yeah, it stuck to my freaking car. So we tried one way of doing it, and basically somebody said, uh, put all the lugs almost all the way on, but have a little bit of give, so that way the tire can actually move a little bit, and then basically go around in a circle. Well, something happened there. In fact, I thought it was something really bad, but it was making a really loud clunky noise. So something happened there. I don't know what the heck it was, but something definitely happened there. So I go back down into the garage and we go to take off the tire and it's still stuck solid. So what that noise was, I have no freaking idea because now that my car is back to normal and driving again, uh I don't there's nothing different about it. So it wasn't another issue. So in the end, he took a I'm not sure how big the weight was, but he took a like a barbell weight and tied it to a chain and then tied it around the actual wheel. And then basically all he did was take that weight and throw it back behind him, and that actually got the wheel off the stupid car. So that was round one, and then the next issue was the rotor. We tried to get the rotor off, and that was the a big pain in the butt. In the end, we took the mounting bracket uh, that holds the brake pad assembly on there, and we took some screws and basically slowly and screwed it basically to the rotor, and basically that actually with those screws being pushed on the rotor, that actually got the stupid thing off. So then we got that off. Then the next thing was the actual wheel stud holder thing. In the end, we couldn't get that off, but we went to the hardware, the not the hardware store, but the auto parts store. I said I actually got 12 wheel studs just in case, because I'm paranoid. Uh, I said for my car, and went back, and we went online, tried to figure out how that most people did it. Everybody online is like, oh, you just you put them in the back, and you take an open bolt that matches your stud, screw it on there, and with a couple of washers, and then you just take your ratchet and just crank away. It'll get in there, no problem. We tried that. Uh, we even actually tried. I actually went out and bought an air hammer because he had an air tank, so you can actually use air tools. So I bought an air hammer because I also saw online somebody used an air hammer. Looked like a piece of cake. Nope. In the end, we just gave up, and I had to get it hauled away and take it to the garage. And something as simple as changing my freaking brakes cost me $400. Uh, because of multiple reasons, but one of the main things that bumped up the price was apparently the rotors that were on my car, because it was used, weren't meant for my car apparently, according to the shop. Now, I haven't really dealt with this shop, but my mother has for a while, and they seem to be really trusting people. So I feel like I can trust them when it comes to this type of stuff. They've been always been very helpful, and if they can actually weasel a way out of making something cheaper, they typically will. Uh, Now, when we did take the brake pads off, we did notice some weird wear. So we weren't sure if that was a debris thing or what. But in the end, it boiled down to, sadly, I had to get he got new rotors for my car, so that made it more expensive. Uh, Luckily, I did have the brake pads obviously already, so I didn't have to worry about that. And of course, the big thing that was really annoying is after all this, I found out by him that he even had to go back to wherever he goes to get parts, because he even went to get the studs and they gave him the wrong ones. So apparently, I'm not sure if it's just with my vehicle, but they changed some model numbers and part numbers and whatever. And apparently, it's a common occurrence that people go and they get the wrong ones. So literally, that is the main reason why we couldn't get the stupid studs on. We had the wrong studs for the stupid thing. So yeah, it probably would have been an easy job, but it turned into something much, much, much more uh bigger issue and a lot more money than what really needed to be. Now, I guess the good thing is if those were my rotors, if the rotors weren't meant to be on my vehicle, then I guess that's a good thing that I got new rotors. But again, it's still, it killed me with everything. So, yeah, I'm kind of in stand backish mode and almost in survival mode. Luckily, work hours are going to be picking up for me, so that allows me to hopefully catch up a little bit, just a little bit, because I still need to get the axles replaced and whatnot. Also, anyway, I know that's a little bit on the personal thing, but I need to get a lot of this stuff off my chest because I need people. I'm sure people that actually do listen to this is kind of curious about where the heck am I, and I know I've been talking about maybe at least quitting the audio version because it's $15 a month for me. Uh, but we're still going to try to keep going, keep going, keep going. Uh, but nonetheless, it's a really also this happened before New Year's. In fact, somebody actually asked me, it's like, why didn't you just wait until the beginning of the year? My thought always has been, why wait for something that you can start now? So I didn't plan on doing it at all. Uh, a little bit before Christmas, probably on the maybe the 20th or something. Uh, no, it was probably the 18th. We'll say the 18th. I went and got my Christmas present for myself, which I got an Instant Pot, which I absolutely love. But when I've been blah 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 blah, when I've been when I was looking up recipes and stuff after I got it, I just was just gandering, looking at all the cool stuff I can do. In fact, I even bought before I even started doing this. I even bought an actual Instant Pot book for all recipes, and now with what I'm doing, that book might all be practically useless for me right now. But anyway, as I was looking up online on YouTube recipes, all of a sudden I saw something pop up that piqued my interest, and I didn't know what it was. I, that's the weird thing. It's so popular, but I didn't even know it even existed. So that's how out of the loop I am, really. So I went and was looking at recipes, and during one of the recipes, the guy's like, "Oh, and this is actually keto friendly," and I'm like, "What the heck's keto?" And I just kind of let it go by because I'm just like, it's just another stupid diet. And then I saw in a description again for another recipe said, you know, whatever keto, you know. So I decided to finally look this up and figure out what the heck this thing is because I've never heard of it. And I guess because I'm just out of the loop when it comes to that type of stuff, and I also don't watch TV, so I don't see commercials. On New Year's, I actually was sitting down and I actually saw a commercial for a like some sort of protein shake or something, like meal supplement for keto, and it actually had like keto like on the actual brand, and I'm like, oh, it's that big, because I didn't know it was nothing. Uh, so I thought I was like finding out this like secret, but Either way, I started just looking into it briefly, and I really wasn't even like thinking very hardcore. Now, I was currently thinking for a while now, I need to do something because although I haven't gotten blood work in a while, uh, I was not at like the near diabetic, but it could have been a thing for me. And also, the weight had kept on creeping up and creeping up and creeping up and creeping up, you know, and I needed to do something. So once I got like looking at this, I'm like, this seems really easy and very doable. And it started very naturally. I was surprised at how it went because if I started just doing like simple stuff when I was over at my friend's house. I would be just like, no, I don't, something I would normally be just like, yes, I want that. I'm like, nah, I'm good. And it just, yeah, I went and like got some bubbly water for basically so I didn't have to drink soda and whatnot. And it just progressed very, very naturally. In fact, I'm even starting to exercise, which even told myself I wouldn't exercise. Now, I don't know how much I've lost since I've actually started because what happened was I was over at my friend's house and I was house sitting when I finally kicked this in gear and said, you know what, we're doing this. Uh, and it progressed, through about 4 days. I started, getting further and further into doing this high fat, low carb diet. And so I didn't have my scale, and I have an old smart scale, so it does do all the body fat, water weight, muscle mass, BMI, and it's old. It's kind of an old one because in order for it to get to the app on the phone, you hit the sync button on the actual scale, and it brings up a a digital code, and basically you take the app and it uses your camera to get that code and puts the information on the phone. So it's not Bluetooth or anything cool or fancy, but it's what I have. So luckily I have it. But I didn't for almost a week. I didn't actually have the scale, so I'm not sure how much I've actually lost at that point. My guess is I would probably have lost my water weight. So I'm guessing that's probably a good 10 pounds, maybe. I don't know because how they always say the first week you lose 10 pounds and it's mostly just water weight. So I imagine that's what it was, but I'm just disregarding that so far and just going by what I've actually started out as and where I'm at now. This morning I weighed myself and I did get a little heavier, but the water weight went down, the body mass index went down, and the muscle went up a little bit. So even though I don't like to say, it's hard to do, with it going like this all the time, like up and down, up and down, up and down, with certain stuff that can be going on. That's why I'm trying not to weigh myself every day because it gets kind of annoying because you're like, oh my gosh, I lost weight, and then oh no, I didn't. Because there's a part of me, it's like, yes, I would like to keep my muscle, but I'm just like, if I get just get down to my weight that I want to get, then I will focus on lifting weights and stuff if I want to, and starting to actually look good. But so far, I'm going by not today's, but last week's because I feel like that's more not last week's, the other days because I feel like it's more accurate because yeah, it's I lost 12.4, and if I count today, it changed to 11 pounds and something. So anyway, that's where I'm at there, and this diet is so easy. I highly recommend everybody tries it if they want to try to lose weight. Uh, Very easy. The hunger, I'm doing the keto with the intermittent fasting. So I'm eating lunch slash breakfast at 11, and then I have trying to eat my dinner by have everything eaten by 7. But I'm only doing 2 meals. I'm not snacking. But the way this diet works is it's not too big of an issue. I mean, in the morning, it's a little bit kind of an issue, but you drink some water and have some coffee, you're good to go, and basically until 11. Uh, but I'm finding so many different things that make this very possible. I mean, some stuff is very luxury, or it's going to be a not everyday thing. But like tacos were my big thing. I'm like, I can't have tacos anymore. But lo and behold, uh, Mission Tortilla Company has low carb tortillas. Now they are the fajita ones, but they're really tiny. They're only I think it's three or four net carbs, where the actual taco ones are 6 net carbs. And how it works is you want to stay at roughly 20 to, it depends on who you talk to. I even heard 30, but I'm trying to stay under 20 net carbs a day. And so if I eat 2 tacos, essentially, I'm at 12 net carbs already. Uh, you don't have to count your leafy greens, uh, uh, though I think some people do. But yeah, overall, very easy because the high fat, uh, it fills me up. It keeps my hunger at bay. I haven't had any. I had a little bit of a craving today because I was at work and somebody had some open Sour Patch Kids right on their desk, and I was like, dang, I would like to have some Sour Patch Kids. But I'm sure there's alternative ways on how to make Sour Patch Kids if I look into it. But that's the big thing with this diet. If you want to do anything, there's going to be a lot of it's going to be you. You can order some stuff or buy some stuff. Like I looked under at Amazon.com, uh, keto candy, and I guarantee I didn't check the actual sizes of the packages, but I guarantee if you actually look, it's not going to be a big bag. But everything that they want that's under keto candy, you're looking at $15 for a bag of anything, at least on Amazon. So, and I understand that Amazon's pretty pricey when it comes to certain things. Because, for example, uh, soda. I can't have soda in theory. Some people do drink the diet ones. I'm trying to stay away from that because, from my experience, diet sodas do make you more hungry and it'll make you want to crave stuff. But I looked up, I don't know why I did it. It was a random search, but I was like, uh, stuff you can drink on keto, and it did pop up. So we actually can drink this brand, uh, Zevia, which is no sugar, no artificial sweeteners, contains caffeine, but 0 calories, and of course, it just contains stevia. That's how they sweeten it. Now, it does the job, I guess, but it's not super great. What I find it is sweet. It's about as sweet as any soda, but I feel like it's very unflavorful. It needs more flavor. The balance is a little off. So it's sweet, but it has a very low flavor. So it's yeah, it does the job. But this brand's got a whole bunch, so I'm probably going to. I bought a 10 pack of this, so what I'm probably going to do is go and buy their larger single yeah, cans, and just try to find one that is like the best. Like they, of course, they got Dr Pepper type They got a Mountain Dew. I was even surprised they even got a tonic one, which I love tonic water. So I'm curious about how it tastes. But yeah, so soda I can drink. I can have my tortillas if, as long as I get the certain ones. So for the most part, I'm not feeling like I'm like like I like this is really a diet. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a great time, and I'm losing weight with it. I'm actually now under my weight that I was back in early 2000s. Early 2000s, I could stay at 215 pounds, and I can eat whatever the heck I wanted. Now, since I've gotten older, I guess my metabolism has started to suck more, so now the weight is creeping up to a higher number. But now I'm under my weight that I was when I had a good metabolism. So overall, pretty good. We're trying to reach for 170 though, but we'll see how that works. My biggest issue, and luckily this doesn't feel like an actual diet, and I'm looking at it as more of a lifestyle, not a diet. Uh, because if I look at a diet, I'm going to probably fail. If I look at a lifestyle, like this is just the way I'm going to eat now, uh, I think it's much more doable. But I've never seen myself thin from my teenage years. I think when I was really young, I think I was thin at one point, but overall, I've always been a heavy set person. So it's been hard to be thin because I've never seen myself thin. So in my mind, even though I know it's an illusion, because I can't think of myself being thin, I don't imagine myself ever being thin. So we're just going to do this thing. We're going to make, make it happen. And if I can get down to 170, great. To be honest with you, I'll be happy if I can even get into the 190, whatever. Uh, but 170 is the goal, because as soon as we do that, I am definitely going to get fitted for a suit. And we're definitely going to probably do cosplay stuff. I've always kind of wanted to do cosplay stuff, but I know everybody's like, anybody can cosplay. No, no, you can't. I don't care what anybody says. They're just trying to be, supportive and stuff. And it's like, no, no, you can't cosplay. Uh, unless you got, to me, the looks to go with it. So, and there's no good fat people to cosplay. No good, except for maybe E Honda. But everybody else has, like the stupid stereotypical fat. They're funny. They eat a lot and all that stuff. But anyway, hopefully we can get thin, and then we'll start cosplaying and do some fun stuff there. But until then, it's not happening. So, on to the off of the personal stuff and onto the gaming stuff. All right, here we go. Yeah. So, at my work that I work at, they actually had a whole Harry Potter section, and naturally, I took some Harry Potter stuff and put it in the back. Uh, but I've seen this game and I've wanted it for a while, just because it looked like an actual decent game and not like a Candyland game. So I finally got it. I waited until after Christmas, so it was actually on sale. So I got it at the lowest price. I forgot what I paid for it, but I think it was like 30. Might have been 30, might have been 24. I don't know. It was the cheapest that I could ever get it for. So I finally got it, and we actually played it the maybe 2 weeks ago for the first time, and then we even played it again last week. This is a difficult game. What's cool about it is it's they here I guess here it's a double thing. It's really cool how they have the game set up, but because of how they have the game set up, they make the game probably a lot more expensive than what it needs to be. So this is very thematic. I mean, even just the box, it looks like it meant to be like the trunk, like you're going to Hogwarts, and this is your trunk that you're going to actually be taking to Hogwarts. Uh, but it's done in a very like the game starts out at year one or book one, and as you get further along, as you play the game multiple again and again and again, in theory, you should be going through book two slash year two, uh, three, four, five, six, and so on. And how it's done is it's done in a very uh I get not, I mean it's obviously story driven because it's going through the different years, but how I forget how do I describe this? It's set up where you don't know what's going to happen in the next thing because it's hidden. And what I mean by that is the year one, book one comes in a box like this. Uh, it's just basically a little tiny deck box, and that's year one. And then you open it up. The directions, you won't actually have to worry about like finding the directions because the directions are right on the top as soon as you open up the thing. But once you open it up, a you have this box that you have to pay for, and then once you open it up, all the cards are separated in individual little plastic uh baggy type things. It's not even ziplocked. It's not even like glued shut or anything. They're just little tiny plastic baggies that you can just pull right off. They don't even cover the whole cards. So again, you got all those little baggies that they had to put on there, and on the individual type of cards. And this is for all of them. So you got 7 boxes, and they all got these. And I'm like, it's cool how they did that, but I guarantee if they removed all of that, you could at least maybe drop $5 off of it because it's a card game and they want $50 for it. Now it's a card game with a board game. In fact, actually, the board game is it is references like the Mordor's Martyr's map. There we go. And you can like see the little footprints and stuff on it here and there. So it's again very thematic. And the cool thing is they got the general directions, and as you go through game one, and then you go into game two, then you open up game two's box, and that has more stuff in it for you, and it has new rules, and it even has new rules inside of it. And then on the back of the actual manual uh, of year one, it's actually got rule slots for years 2 through 7. So it's again really coolly laid out, but I feel like just the way that is designed, uh, they could have done better. And it is kind of cool though. The more you go along, the more roles you unlock every single time. And by the end, it's a really cool game. There's a lot of people online that are like, I don't want to spoil it for you. You know, it's a cool experience as you go through them. You unlock more stuff. I went and I opened every single box and just looked to see what the new rules are and stuff. And at the end of the day, before we started, I could have went. Well, we could start it at the base game, but we've been playing board games for a while now, and although I only have one deck builder that we've actually played with, Dominion. I also got the Scott Pilgrim game, but we haven't played that. Uh, Mainly because I need to look at it more because my issue is the double sided cards. I'm like, how do you shuffle these things? Do they have to? I don't know. It confuses the hell out of me. But it looks like could be a really cool game. But anyway, I digress. Uh, so I went ahead and just said, you know what, we're going to play the game from year 7 because if I start with year 1, it's going to be too basic. It's not going to be fun. Uh, so I just went all in. But if you've never played a deck builder, it might be good to start off with year 1. Or if you just want to feel like you want to play the game the way it's meant to be played, as like the books are unraveling before you type of thing, you can do that too. But we just went all in and we lost. But it's a really, really difficult game. Even after we lost, the next week we tried it again and we won. And then we played it a second time and we lost. So it's really interesting the way it works and uh, how you can easily lose the game, but sometimes you can come out on top. But you basically start out with it's a 4 player game. You can choose for at least the base game. You can choose Harry, Hermione, Ron, and Neville. Those are the characters that you can choose. And what's cool is again, this is very thematic. When you start off, you get to pick your character, and if you start off at year 1, your character just is a picture of your character, and then has a little quote or description or whatever you want to call it. And then as I think you get up to book 3, it might be 4, book 3 or 4. I want to probably say 3. You get a new character card. So basically, the idea is you are learning at Hogwarts and you're becoming a more powerful wizard. You're being educated, so you upgrade to a more powerful card, and now you get a little bit of special abilities that you can do. And then, of course, you get upgraded like 2 more times, I believe. So overall, really, really cool idea and concept. Uh, by the end, when you're at year 7, uh, you're dealing with 3 villains out at all times. And the idea is you have locations, and you don't want those, you don't want the enemies to control those locations. And you get little skull tokens, and every time, whether it's a card that says you need to put a skull in there, or you get stunned, and you get stunned a lot. It's one of those things where you start off with 10 health points. I figured, well, 10 health points, you're going to be, you know, that's going to be your life type of thing. It's like, no, just get used to the fact that in one round, you could go from 10 health all the way to 1 or even stunned. It's just the way it is, the way this game's run. So get used to having to roll through your health really quickly. The issue is when you get stunned, stun can be good and bad. Because once you get stunned, nothing can harm you anymore until the end of your round type of thing. So if you get stunned at the beginning of your round, it actually can be a good thing, but you lose half your cards rounding up or rounding down. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you have 5 cards, you only have to get rid of 2 instead of 3. Uh, and also, you get a skull on a location. And what's surprising is how difficult it is to get those stupid skulls off. But you got 3 villains and another stack of villains that every time you uh, beat a villain, another one goes on. And obviously, at the very end, there is Voldemort. Now, the interesting thing is there's multiple Voldemorts too, because obviously you had to deal with them throughout what from year 4 onwards, since Voldemort's come back to life. Well, that is a good question. I would have to double check. It might because of book four. He didn't come back until the very end, so they might not have a Voldemort for book four, but they have it for five, six, and seven though. But yeah. So again, the cool thing also is again it's very thematic. So once you actually get to book seven, of course, with book seven, you got to find the Horcruxes just like in the book and destroy them. So in the game, in this game, you actually have to destroy all the Horcruxes before you even touch Voldemort. And also, on top of that, all the villains need to be killed before you can even touch Voldemort. So you got to do two things at once, or not at once, but you got to kill all the villains and you got to destroy all the Horcruxes before you can even take on Voldemort. So that's the big thing about Book Seven. So on top of that, and you die again, we've lost, and this is going to be a really hard game. They actually came out with an expansion. I had to get the expansion, uh, just because you get to play as Luna Lovegood, and Luna Lovegood is my favorite character in the books and in the movies too. But uh, what they've done is it's in fact I actually already have it. I bought it. Oh yeah, I forgot the green screen. I wasn't sure. Didn't even think about it not coming up with some stuff, but yeah. But anyway, it does show up. But anyway, yeah, it's called Hogwarts Battle, the Monster Box of Monsters expansion, a cooperative deck building game. So this does actually quite a bit, to be honest with you. Uh, I took out all the cards out and stuff. That's another thing that's really great. They did do a good job. My favorite thing is even though it comes in, a box that's fairly big. It's what 4 inches high and 8 inches long and maybe 6 inches tall, something like that. I don't know. I'm horrible at dimensions. Uh, all this stuff that's in this expansion box will fit in the core uh, card game box. So that is definitely a good thing. I wish games like Catan would have thought about that, but they didn't. So you can't. It's a pain in the butt to put the cards, put all the Catan stuff. I managed to get the Catan not the expansion, the extension in the box, but it barely fits. So what's really cool is because there's so many different options on how to set this game up, they actually uh, decided to figured people weren't going to want to keep these boxes around, the individual boxes that the like the years and stuff can't come in. So they actually have little uh little dividers that once you take all the cards out and you put it in there, then you can divide it. So this divider, for example, it says game seven cards. Now, if you want to separate them exactly how they would be, I'm not even sure if I'll be using these things like game seven because that doesn't seem very fun. But for example, like this one, this one they should have had in the original one, but for some reason they didn't. So I'm glad they put it in the expansion. But this is Horcrux cards, so you can separate the Horcrux cards. Because right now I actually have them separated off to the side where they're not even actually in with the other cards. But with with this expansion, it adds detention cards. So the cool thing about the detention cards is you don't want detention. You don't want to get detention, and basically, there's going to be stuff that's going to cause you to get a detention card. And what this does is it pads your deck, and you don't want that. You definitely don't want that. This game is difficult enough. You don't want cards padding your deck because it's a pain in the butt because you are stunned constantly and having to discard cards so often in this game that you need to buy cards. And it's such a pain in the butt to buy cards. I mean, just the core book or the core game. You got like a stack of Hogwarts cards, like maybe 2.5 inches high, and in the grand scheme of thing, by the time I've gotten done the game, we haven't even barely touched those Hogwarts cards. So our decks are still very small. It's not like Dominion where you have a pretty big sized deck by the time you're done playing the game. Uh, our game that we won though, I don't know how we did it, but we did do it fairly good, where we were actually buying a fair amount of cards and holding back the forces of evil type of thing. Now, what we did for the third time playing, what I decided to do, and everyone was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool," is I put the villains in order. Well, I shouldn't say in order. Uh, I basically just had books one villains first, book two villains, so they weren't like in order, but they were by book. So in theory, they were going to be easy, and they would get harder over time. But apparently, the way we were drawing stuff, it still didn't matter because we got slaughtered. But yeah, so detention cards, that's new, uh, and it isn't good. And if you, I forget what it happens when you, let's read it here. Uh, Creature detention cards. All right, detention. If you discard this, lose 2 hearts. If you do not lose 2 hearts when you place this in your discard pile, oh yeah, you do not lose 2 hearts when you place this card in your discard pile at the end of your turn. Obviously, because you didn't use this card. But again, lots of cards are going to cause you to discard stuff, and you might have to, discard a detention card. And I'm pretty sure because of this expansion, some of the creatures you're going to have to deal with are going to force you specifically, if you have a detention card in your hand, discard it, forcing you to lose 2 life. So again, this game's brutal, but it is fun. Also, they added events. I think that's what it's called in this one. Uh, yeah, I think it's called events. But yeah, maybe I don't know. It's something like that. But essentially, it's in place of the Horcruxes. And so with the expansion, then you got still like the Horcrux idea behind it in a different format. So it gives you a little bit more difficulty at lower parts of the game. So that's kind of cool. But then they have this. This is like box 4 of the rules. Oh yeah, let me show you this. Sorry for the audio people, but again, you got the core book for the box 1, and then this one there's only 4 boxes for the expansion, so it's not 7. But you got your basic rules there, and then at the very end, every time you open up one of the boxes, you have a little slot where you put the actual rules. So it's kind of cool how they have it set up, and of course here's that would go right there then too. Just slide it in there. So again, they put a lot of detail into it, and it's very cool. But I would like to try this, and I would like to beat it, but somehow I don't see how I could beat this. And this game will go on for a while. We've at least played it for, I think that first night it was like 4 hours maybe. But it's still a very, very long game. But at the very end of the rules, can't see it, I don't think. Either that, I need to adjust my one monitor. It's very bright. Can't quite see stuff. Even my face is washed out. But if I move it over to my other screen that I actually like, uh, it's a lot darker. But anyway, it says, you want to play an epic Harry Potter Hogwarts battle game against all of the villains and creatures? That in of itself is crazy. It's difficult to beat all the villains and Voldemort at the same time. and then you're going to add even more stuff like the creatures, but it even gets more crazier than this. Okay, it says you will need location 1 of 3, which is the castle gates, from box 1 of this expansion, plus all 4 locations of box 4. So basically, you're going to have 5 locations, and you got to make sure that they don't capture all of those. If they capture all of those, you're screwed. Alrighty. Stack them in order, placing the castle gates on top. So the idea is they're going to be running, you know, attacking the castle. Place 3 randomly selected encounters in order on top of all the Horcruxes in the center of the board game. So here's the even bigger deal. The Horcruxes are difficult to begin with to do. And we found out the idea is if you can help it, focus on the Horcruxes first. Problem is, with Horcruxes, you need dice rolls. Out of the gate, you can't do dice rolls. You literally need to go out of your way and purchase cards to allow you to do dice rolls. So again, Horcruxes are very difficult because you need to buy the cards. It's so hard to buy the cards because you keep on getting stunned. It's an uphill battle, but we did it the one time. But on top of that, now they're saying throw 3 randomly selected encounters, which the encounters, like I said, was talking about with this expansion, is in place of the Horcruxes. Now they're saying put the Horcruxes and 3 extra encounters on top, and try to get through all that before you can actually get to Voldemort. Then it says place all 4 Lord Voldemort cards in order. Games 5. Okay, so they don't have a Voldemort for the 4th box or for book 4. So they got games 5, 6, 7, and box 4. So that's another thing with this expansion. It's actually got an extra Voldemort in here. It's also got extra character cards as well. So you got a new Hermione, you got a new Harry, you got a new Neville, you got a new Ron. If I didn't say Ron, obviously I missed somebody, and I'm almost positive I didn't. I said Neville and Harry, so had to been Ron. Sadly though, what's a little bit disappointing though is you only got 1 Luna Lovegood. I would have liked it if they would at least done Luna Lovegood from what is it, book 5. Yeah, I wish they would give you a book 5 and a book 7. Luna Lovegood. So you only get 1 Luna Lovegood. If you don't like her powers, then oh well. So yeah, you're sticking all 4 Voldemort on the bottom of the villain creature stack face up. If you make it to the end, you will face 1 Lord Voldemort at a time. First game 5, then 6, then 7, and finally box 4. Remember, Lord Voldemort cannot be assigned attack until after all the Horcruxes are destroyed and all other villains and creatures are defeated. To win, defeat all 4 versions of Lord Voldemort. Good luck. I don't even know how you're going to do that. I would like to see somebody stream or upload it to YouTube of somebody doing that play and beating all the events, all the Horcruxes, all the villains, all the creatures, and all the Voldemorts, and not having all 5 of those encounters taken. Once you play the game, you'll be like, yeah, I don't know how you would do that either. But of course, they also do different ways to do creatures as well. Because I thought it was actually money. I didn't really, to be honest with you, I read through the stuff really quick, but apparently what I thought was gold coins, they're actually called influence tokens, which makes sense because when you this is what you also use to buy the cards. So to me, if you're buying an ally, you're trying to influence somebody. You're not trying to buy them. So it makes sense that they're influence cards. But yeah, so some creatures actually will not only need to be attacked, but also have influence put upon them. So that's a different way of taking out enemies as well. And then, of course, there is a new dice option, but I'm not quite sure how that goes into the game. But I'm sure the next time we all get together and play some board games, we will be playing this version, and I will definitely be playing Luna Lovegood. Uh, yeah, but it's interesting the because there's so many different ways to play this, it can be a little daunting, I would say, to set up. Because, for example, if you play Luna Lovegood, they want you to take the ally card of Luna out of the deck for the cards that you can actually buy. So to me, that kind of it's kind of stupid. But I mean, thematic reasons, I understand why. But I'm just like, just leave it in. Who cares? But oh yeah, that's also another thing that they did. People were saying this is great because those some of those beginner cards that you get are just a waste in your deck, and you need to remove them, but you can't remove them. My thought is no, you're going to be using those cards to remove detention cards, but they have cards to exile something from your deck. So people are saying that, oh, we use it for the beginner cards when they become less useful. No, you'll be using them for detention because again, it's hard enough to buy cards as it is when you're constantly getting when you're fainting from getting stunned. So if you're getting detention cards and something's having you discard that card, that's again another 2 hearts. You don't need that constant life drain and constant stun cycle. You do not need that. So the less you can do, the better. But anyway, I went into this a lot. But again, highly recommend this game, especially if you are a Harry Potter fan. Which, I'll be honest with you, I was a Harry Potter fan for a while, but around the release of Book 7, I was kind of getting out of it. And I kind of skimmed over Book 7. I didn't really read Book 7 very much. Uh, and then I never really got around to reading it again. And then I watched the movies and stuff. Uh, again, the best part in the last movie was when Luna basically tells Harry, it's like, yeah, freaking listen to me, you douchebag. That was my favorite part because Luna's my favorite character, and it was nice to see that. I don't even think she was like that in the book, so it was an interesting take. But yeah, I've I kind of always kind of considered myself a fan, but Book 7 was just one of those books that I just, even when I got the audiobooks, I didn't really like listen to it. And I've been on a kick lately again. I've read through them, uh, listened through them because I don't actually have. Well, I got the digital versions, like most of them. I still need to get a couple. Uh, I've got the third book because it is my favorite of all the Harry Potter books in the illustrated version. But I would like to get the other illustrated versions, and hopefully they'll continue to do illustrations. But anyway, yeah, I've been getting into it again. I'm on my second listen already within 2 months probably. I'm on the second book now again. But yeah, overall, good game. Recommend it. Even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, it actually is really a fun game. Now, again, some people are like, well, if you play deck builders, this isn't really anything out of the ordinary stuff, but it's interesting. So far, all of my deck builders have been unique. Like even Scott Pilgrim, it's got a button mashing thing, and you got like uh a move list, like an arcade fighting game. And if you don't got those types of cards, you can't do that move. Uh, and then there's also the button mashing option where you try to hopefully uh, get enough stuff uh, to do the damage that you need to do in order to beat an enemy. It's actually really, really cool. I just don't know how to do the double sided cards right now. Again, I need to look into it more, and maybe we'll actually play it as a gaming group. But anyway, let's move on to my other game. I just started playing Monster Hunter World. Now, I I didn't know what to think about Monster Hunter. I bought it the 3DS version. I forget what it's called, but I bought it for the 3DS, and I played a little bit of it, and I didn't quite understand what the big deal was, and kind of put it down. And then, as I was getting a little bit bored with some of my games that I do have, I picked it up again. And just as I was starting to kind of get into it and understand, you know, uh, how to enjoy it, and it also probably had to do with a lot of I was using just a just a 3DS. I wasn't using the new 3DS, so I didn't have the little nubbin second joystick. So I had to use the camera controls on the touchscreen, which again, not super great. So that made things more difficult and clunky. And then on top of that, there is the loading times. Every time you go into a new location, you gotta load it. And when you're trying to chase a monster and you're having to deal with loading, it's not very fun. It's actually quite annoying. But nonetheless, I was getting used to it and understanding it and realizing how cool of a game this uh, genre is. And that's the weird thing. Well, there is a free to play uh, game that's now like this, but for the most part, there isn't any other game like this. I forget what it's called. I want to say it's Dauntless, but I could be wrong, completely wrong. I haven't actually tried it out. They actually said, "Yeah, we're in open beta now. You can join." I never quite got around to it, but again, this is pretty cool so far. I've done like 5 or 6 missions, and I think I've done 4 where I'm actually killing monsters. Uh, uh, it is much, much, much better because of the no loading screens. But I, from my experience with the 3DS version, I didn't have to deal with any other monsters. Like when you go on the quest, when it comes to the monster, you only have to worry about that monster. And this game, holy moly, sometimes it can be really, really annoying. Sometimes it can work out in your favor, but in the end, the monsters always want to go for you. So you'll be like chasing down a monster, then you're gonna be fighting a monster, and then all of a sudden, another monster comes walking by and wants to get in on this mess. And every once in a while, those two monsters will fight for a little bit, but so far, every time they've all eventually said, you know what? I'm after that guy that is playing the game. So then you have to go run away, and regroup, heal up if you need to heal, and then try to go back and find the monster and kill it. Now the cool thing is the more information you get on that monster, the more easier it is to find that monster again. So you always want to be collecting samples, looking at footprints, all that stuff, because when a time comes that you have to kill that monster, then your little basically fairy flies uh, will basically lead a path to it, you know. So so far that's been a real joy. Uh, But again, coming across those big, massive monsters that you haven't even attempted to take out yet, and they're chasing you, it's not fun. Not fun, but doable. So far, though, I've only done solo. I have, I think, 3 people that play on my Steam account. I think 2 are kind of done playing it. I don't think they're playing anymore. One I saw was on not too long ago, so maybe I can hook up with him. But right now, I would kind of like to play some multiplayer and see how that works. Now, apparently, though, you don't really want 2 players because as soon as you do 2 players, it uh, it 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 basically says, "Oh, you're doing multiplayer, so we're going to bump up the stats." And apparently, there's not bumped up stats and bumped up stats. So the idea is you don't want probably 2 people. It's going to be probably really really hard to take out a monster if you do only 2 people. Probably at least want 3 to 4, and then it's probably doable. But I need to look up more tutorials. That's the thing about this game. It tells you stuff, but it doesn't go in detail. So it's very old school in that way, where you have to figure stuff out on your own. So what to do and what not to do in multiplayer battle, it's probably going to be pretty important as of right now because I'm not dealing with anybody. It's just like just keep on slashing, dodging, killing, uh, healing, all that stuff. So overall, pretty cool. It feels awesome every time you take out a dinosaur or a monster type thing. Can't really say they're dinosaurs, because some of them look like dinosaurs, some just look like freaks. So we'll just say monster. So yeah, the end of January, I guess they're going to do a Witcher uh, free add-on event type thing. I'm not sure if it's going to be there forever or what, but it'll be interesting to actually see what it is. That was another cool thing. I kind of wanted to get it because of I knew that they were bringing out the Witcher thing, so I need to figure out what it was. But overall, it's a battle, uh it's a boss battle thing. If you like taking out bosses, Monster Hunter is definitely the thing for you because those monsters they don't go down easy unless it's like the really really tiny ones where it's about your height type of thing. But any of the taller monsters, you're going to be wailing away at that thing for like 20, 30, sometimes maybe 40 minutes. Usually all quests last around 50 minutes. So uh, it's always doable, it seems like, but I haven't come across one that's been too challenging. The last one kind of got me because it had poison. So, and I only had so much poison antidote things. And yeah, I probably should have had more or had the stuff to make more. That's another thing I need to start realizing is you don't have to go on quest. You can actually just start exploring. Cool thing about exploring is even if you die or pass out, as they call it in the game, you still get to keep all your stuff. So that when you go into explore mode, that's your harvesting. That's where you're going to do all your harvesting and stuff. So like right now, I need to get honey because if you mix honey and a healing potion, that gives you like a mega ultimate, whatever you want to call it, healing potion. So I need to do those. I need to do get more stuff to make antidote and whatnot because again, you don't want to be buying stuff as much as possible. Uh, the cat thing I think is new. I don't think I had that in the 3DS version. So that's kind of cool and interesting. You get like a little companion. Uh, I got him doing healing for me, and you need to upgrade his armor and weapons and stuff as you go along because he can be very helpful, and he actually does do a pretty good bit of damage, and he just can distract the monsters pretty good too, from my experience. Uh, but yeah, it's definitely a one of a kind. It's one of those games where you either like it or you hate it. Once you understand how you get into it, I think most people are just like, this ain't my thing. But we'll see how long I can go because I'm not sure how it's going to work with what you call it, without multiplayer if I can't find people. I did join a couple of Discord groups, and hopefully, if I really need to move forward, maybe I can do it. But so far, I've been every time I didn't play, I didn't stream this last time I was playing, but I streamed it 2 times now for a couple hours. So we'll probably continue to keep on streaming it. I just kind of wanted to get uh, some play time in when I didn't have to worry about entertaining anybody, just sitting back and enjoying it and whatnot. Alrighty. So again, awesome game so far, and I'm going to be playing some more of it tomorrow too. Yeah. All right. Here's my This is my I hate this thing. So I've had a I've got a guitar now for myself, and I've been trying to. I'm not really big on teaching or being taught how to do something. I've got a Udemy course on how to do to learn guitar, and that happened for a little while. But my thing is, it none of that stuff gets you jumping in and doing stuff right away. So I went online and probably didn't do enough research, and I was told that Rocksmith allows you to do your audio interface, and you can actually play through your audio interface instead of having to use the real real tone cable, I think it's called, because apparently it's a $30 cable, and B, apparently it's not the greatest cable in the world for $30. It's constantly having issues and stuff. So I thought, this is awesome. So basically, essentially, it allows you to use your audio interface, and then it uses basically, yeah, essentially it works as a microphone, and then you can play your guitar through your audio interface, and Rocksmith will acknowledge it. Now, the issue that I feel like I'm having, unless I'm just having bad luck with it, because so far I've gotten it to recognize my audio interface. I've got it to recognize the fact that my guitar is playing through it. I've also had my issues that I fixed where I can actually hear the game properly. So the game, you know, it has some latency issues, and I'm well aware of that with having to work with audio software. If you don't have it set up properly, it's going to be choppy, it's going to make lots of clicks and stuff, and there's going to be long delays and stuff, and you don't want that. So I got that fixed. But here's the issue. And it took me a little while to figure out what I think is the issue, and there's nothing I can do about that unless I get the real tone cable. What essentially that method is for acoustic. Here I thought you could just hook up your guitar, the game will hear the guitar, it knows it knows what notes you're playing, and then that will play through the game. And yes, it will. If I literally am okay with my guitar being silent, I can learn how to play the game and play the game like you normally would. But my thing is, I want feedback. I want the distortion that my guitar is apparently doing, or I want my guitar to sound like the amps that I'm supposedly playing into in the game. And it took me a little while to really acknowledge that the fact that I'm never going to hear my guitar because it's meant for acoustic. It's not meant for getting around the tone cable thing. It's meant for, oh, you have an acoustic guitar? Would you like to learn how to play your acoustic guitar with Rocksmith? Plug up a microphone and let the stupid thing hear it. And then you can hear it like it is. But electric guitar doesn't sound so hot when it's not plugged into an amp or not sounding like anything. So it's not going to register in the game sound wise. And it's definitely not going to make noise besides the stupid string strumming when you're actually playing it in the room. So now some people from I think that that is the general idea is they're doing what they is a long process and I could do that too, but I'm just like I'm probably just going to get the tone cable. It's so annoying that I have to buy that. But in the end, what people are doing is they're taking a splitter essentially, and putting it into the going from the guitar and splitting it one into the audio interface and one into a guitar amp, so that they can actually have the effect that they're going for. And although I got an amp, I just don't want to bother with that. It seems counterintuitive. And then, of course, they actually got the tone for that particular song. And I just think it would be actually cool to actually just do it that way instead of the other way. Instead of, maybe going with a guitar tone that doesn't quite match uh, that particular song, but it is what you have because that's all you have, type of thing. But I'm going to no matter what try this thing because I forget her channel was, but I guess they're pretty popular in the actual Rocksmith world. But their name is obviously it started as an individual person, and now it's going into multiple people, or basically they're just sisters. So it's another person now. So, but I think it's Audrey 123, and I think something else. But anyway, if you just go on like Guitar Smith uh sisters, maybe do that search, they'll come up. But I saw a video, and I didn't even know it was actually Rocksmith at the time because they didn't have the screen up, and they were playing Dragon Force through the fire of whatever, and I was blown away because they're like 12 years old and they're playing it, I'm pretty sure, perfectly. The little sister's doing bass and the main girl's doing guitar. And that's kind of what got me down this path where I'm like, if they can learn how to play something like that and they're doing it by having fun and playing a game, I'm going to give it a shot, especially now that I got a guitar. So I just need to get the stupid cable and we'll be good to go. But if I get good enough, we might start streaming this as well. Because I really like, I forget her name. I think it's Outstar. Uh, she was being like hosted by Twitch, or at least being displayed on the front page on Twitch, and I just happened to hit her, and I thought it was pretty cool because she at one point in time worked at CG Project Red, and of course she's got that cool accent, but she was actually playing bass and doing Rocksmith, and I thought it was so cool. So if I get good enough, they will start streaming. But what I like about it, and I want to do this for a piano because I know there's piano software too that you know they'll have a song and you can play it through a MIDI controller as the stuff's coming at you. So I want to do a keyboard one as well because although I'm somewhat more familiar with keyboard and I can actually get through fiddling around with a keyboard, I I'm horrible with guitar. So what I like about this so far, and I'm in debate on how I want to do it. Some people say no, crank the song up to 100% and just have it slowed down because you don't when you're playing a song, when you're learning a song, you don't miss notes. You don't try to miss notes anyway. You try to play every note. So the way this initially teaches you isn't necessarily probably the best way to teach you. Because how it starts is when you have it, you know, not all the way up, it's going to give you a note here and there as the song's playing. And as the more accurate you are, I guess the more notes that they're going to give you until you have your issues. So that's I I don't know. I actually feel like that's kind of a cool idea. And then the more, you know, you get used to stuff, the more notes they're going to keep on giving you. And sooner or later, you're going to be adding more and more and more notes. And you'll eventually be able to play the song how it's meant to be played. So I have mixed feelings about it. I'm like, I think that way suits me better. But I understand where some people are coming from, where you don't learn to play a song like that. You learn to play the song by playing the notes very slowly. So as long as you slow down the song and do it very, very slowly, and you can slowly get faster and faster and faster. Uh, so I don't know. We'll see. But so far, I can't return it now because I took so many minutes trying to figure it out because it wasn't messing with. In fact, actually, I still think it might be my big audio interface that's the problem. But the big one has drivers. My little guy here, ugh, I don't think it's unplugged. I think, yeah, everything's unplugged. This guy, which I kept on debating on getting rid of it, but I guess it's always handy to hold on to it. But this is the Focusrite 2i2, and as far as I know, as far as I can remember, because I don't get the paperwork for it anymore, uh, it doesn't have any drivers. It's just USB compliant. Uh, Works right out of the box type thing. This one was working immediately. Uh, the bigger one was not recognizing it at all until I deleted everything and restarted everything. Then it was doing it. But then it was starting to give me a blue screen. And I'm constantly getting the blue screen now because I had it with this, but then I was messing around with stuff trying to get the guitar sound through the actual speakers. And then I didn't realize that my brain wasn't understanding how the audio interface thing worked. It's literally just meant for an acoustic guitar. So it's not you're not going to hear your guitar through the game. The game will hear your guitar, but the game will not say it won't be saying, "Hey, you're playing this note and we're going to shoot it out through the speakers with this type of distortion that the Ramones used or whatever." So, eh. But now I'm not going to buy any DLC. That's for sure right now. I need to buy the cable and see if it is going to work how I want it to work. Because something tells me I've had a USB uh, game headsets, and my biggest issue with the headsets and having it wireless and having a USB dongle thing is stuff starts to mess up because my audio interface is an external USB thing too. So I got that thing, and then the headphones try to override that thing, and it just causes chaos in the world of my audio. So we'll see what the tone cable thing does. Hopefully, I can still freaking use the tone cable and use my audio interface. Hopefully. Something tells me that it's going to be one of those things where it wants to use the standard onboard sound, and I can't stand that. Cannot stand that. But yeah. So that's where we're at with Rocksmith. So right now my review is it sucks. Because I really, really, really want to play it and start practicing. But until I can figure out overall how to get this stupid thing to work, uh, I won't be happy with it. But I see huge potential in it. But right now, it's just not here. So if maybe this coming paycheck, maybe if I can squeeze out the $30, I will get it, and hopefully I can do maybe a little review about it. But so far, sucks. But I think it's a huge potential to be something really amazing. Uh, especially for me with writing music and stuff, because they always say the best way to get to understand music is start dissecting your favorite songs. And what's the best way to dissect it is learn how to play it. And that Audrey channel, they apparently are even starting to do their own original music. So they give you enough knowledge to learn how to play covers, and then I guess in theory, once you start to ingrain that in your head, like patterns in songs and what sounds good with those songs, you can take it to that next level and then start putting those ideas and patterns and stuff in your own songs, just obviously at different tempos, at different riffs, at different, and you can make something all your own. So that's hopefully the future thing, because I really want to put guitar into my music. And right now, I don't know where to really begin to enjoy myself and have fun. Because that's the hardest thing, is learning how to do something and have fun doing it. Your typical teacher practice way, it's not fun. Uh, I think number one thing you should always probably do is, yes, teach them the fundamentals if you're going to teach somebody like a musical instrument. But first and foremost, get them to pick out a song that they would enjoy playing and get them on the track to learning that song as on the side as well as learning the fundamentals. Because if you're going to just use the fundamentals, they're probably not going to stick with it, and they're going to get bored because yes, they might be progressing, but they're not seeing that progress the way you're seeing that progress. But when you give them something that in reference that they can understand with a song, I think would help tremendously. But I'm a horrible teacher. I don't like teaching. I'm one of those people like, here's the manual, you read it. I'm not teaching you. So I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but that's the way I would like to be taught anyway. But anyway, I think that is the end of the podcast. This one was a long one, and I apologize, but it's been a while. And I barely didn't even talk about anything. I don't even have any news. Don't even care. But anyway, I am your host, Jonathan Hanna. And thank you for watching or listening if you did. Anyway, see y'all later. Bye.